Um, at Jim Tara, at Epstein hitting on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Let's get into our main topic, episode 107, getting on plane with the pitch, re-examined, level to the baseball. That's what your dad talked about, what you talked about. When people say, hey, swing level, usually it was meaning swing down. And it's not so much the case anymore. It's actually the pendulum has swung and it's gone the other way. But one thing that stayed true is swinging level to the baseball that is coming at you. Is that something, right? Am I correct in swinging level to the ball?
Yeah, I mean, that started with Ted Williams and the science of hitting, and people were like, oh, that's crazy stuff. You don't want to do that. You don't want to swing up. And so, part of that discussion, my dad always, going down to Florida and hanging out with him and them talking hitting and yada, yada, yada. Years later, my dad came out with videotapes. And that was one of the big things is, hey, we're going to swing up a little bit. And I'll never forget, I don't know what year it was. I think I was still playing. So maybe around 2000, 2001, 2, somewhere around there. He spoke at the ABCA convention and said that. And he said people wanted to string him from the lights, that he was on another planet. How dare you tell people they have to, come up through the ball. And he said, hey, well, you got to, ball's coming down and then you're trying to match that collision course. And so there was a breakout session after he spoke to, I don't know, a few thousand people. And it was the entire place went to the breakout session. And it was just insane, he said. So, but it was years of that, people, telling him he was crazy and then him starting to use video. And then I joined him and we used a lot more video. And then people were like, oh, maybe that is kind of the case and whatever. Then it took off. And then other experts, came out and said, oh yeah, you definitely have to do that. And then, so that's where we are now.
And they just renamed the terminology.
Yeah, we'll rename it and call it our own. So regardless, yes, you want to be on plane. So on plane, and the analogy I use is, pretend the pitcher is releasing the ball from a certain point, right? Off the ground, 5 feet off the ground, 20 inches, 18 inches to the right of the rubber or wherever it is. And then that ball leaves the hand and it goes in a tube to the catcher's mitt. Okay. A tube, the diameter of the ball. What you're trying to do is get your barrel in that tube and your barrel, not just the bat, but your barrel in that tube and stay in that tube for as long as you possibly can without lunging. Okay. So how do we do that? Some people say you want to get on plane really early. You want to snap that barrel or throw that barrel or drop that barrel away from you really quick so that you get on plane by your back leg. Physically, if you do that, you're only on plane for a very short amount of time, and then you go off the plane. You're not strong enough to drop your bat straight down and then, I can't really show you on video, and then go straight across, right? It just doesn't work. And I've only looked at, 40,000 swings in my life. So if I found one that did that, I'd be pretty fired up about it. Okay. But it doesn't happen. So if you drop your barrel early to get on that tube early or in that tube early, then you can't stay on it very long. Plus, that's where your bat is moving the slowest through the hitting zone. So bat speed always maximizes about at the front toes. Some people it's at the front toes. Some people, depending on how long their stride is, it could be 6 inches in front of their front toes. But ideally, in a perfect world, especially when you're a 125-pound kid and you're not 280 pounds like Vogelbach, you have to maximize your bat speed to where you hit the ball. So for a kid to try to hit the ball deep, get on plane deep in the zone, their bat speed's 50 miles an hour. It's only going to be 45 there.
Right.
If their max is 50 at their front toes. So now you're hitting at a disadvantage. So getting on plane with the swing that I teach, all my players, I don't care who you are, boy, girl, professional, college, 8, we're getting on plane at about your front knee. That's where your barrel's going to hit that tube. And this is on most pitches. Okay. This is on a thigh high to belly button height pitch. Okay. We're going to get on plane at about the front knee, and then we're going to stay on plane a few inches in front of the front toes. And that's perfect. That's magical. That way, if I'm late, I can still shoot a ball to right field. If I'm early, I can still hit a ball to left field without topping it or rolling over it, because the swing goes down, and then it gets level to the ground, and then it starts to come up a little bit, and then it comes up too much. And if you hit it where it comes up too much, we talked about Pete Alonso in the home run derby, then you start topping balls to the pull side. So it's an ever changing. Everyone has their own ideas. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, you got to get on plane." Like my wife could say that. She doesn't know anything about baseball. She could say, "Hey, Viv, you got to get on plane better," and Viv'd be like, "What? I don't know. Oh, okay, got to get on plane." But how do you get on plane? What it is? Does it differ on inside pitches versus outside pitches? Does it differ on speed of pitches? Yes to all of these questions, by the way. Every pitch has a different trajectory. So breaking balls, so players that swing up a lot, guess what? They hit breaking balls really good. They hit curveballs, overhand curveballs really well. Why? Overhand curveballs are dropping at like 15 degrees. What does a 96-mile-an-hour fastball drop at? Maybe 3 or 4 degrees. That's a big change. So if you're swinging 3 and 4 degrees, but the ball's dropping at 15, you're going to cut it. You're going to cut the bottom of it, or you're going to just swing over the top of it. If you swing up at 20 degrees, hence most of those players on that list, but, well, not all of them, but some of them, and the ball's only coming at 4 degrees, then you're going to get exploited on fastball. So what is baseball and high-level softball right now doing? They're throwing pitches at the belly button. They're throwing pitches higher with a higher spin rate that doesn't drop as much. Why is that? Because players are trying to get the ball in the air more. They're trying to swing up more. So it comes down to the simple fact that you have to treat every player differently. You have to know what they're good at. For instance, there was, I'll tell you a story because I know there's probably people with young kids. My daughter, who we use as an example all the time, Viv, who's very good, had a very good bat to ball skills, but she swings about 0 degrees. She's left-handed, sometimes down. Okay. Like I tell Viv to lean back and swing up when we're hitting off the tee. Lean back and swing up as much as you can. And she swings up like 5 degrees. It's just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to fall over.
Yeah.
Okay. A player on her team swings up way too much. She drops her hands and she swings up way too much. So Viv's talking to her. Yeah, my dad tells me I got to lean back and swing up. And when I do that, that's when I'm my best. And this girl looks at her like that doesn't make sense to me. Lean back and swing up. That's what everyone's telling me not to do. Well, yeah, that's right, because it doesn't work for that player. So you have to understand each individual player and their swing to be able to cater to their needs. And that's what being a quality hitting coach is. What is that player? What are their needs? How do we support them? Eric Chavez is very good at that. How do I support them? Maybe with a mental plan, maybe making it simpler, maybe making it more complicated. Hey, maybe this player loves to talk mechanics, and maybe you can boost their ego by saying, look how good your mechanics are. Look how good your swing plane is, even if they don't know exactly what it is. Look how good you're sitting back on your back leg and not lunging. Oh man, I feel good. I think I'm going to go out and get some hits today. Versus, okay, the count is 2-1. And every time this pitcher has a 2-1 count, 46% they throw a fastball, 23% they throw a changeup, blah, blah, blah. So now all of a sudden the count goes to 2-1. You're like, oh boy, what was that again? He throws 46% fastballs. I guess I'll look for the fastball. No, you can't be like that. Your brain's going to explode.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like that's what that pitcher normally does, but you're not everyone else in the league. So you have to know what that pitcher does against you, not what he does against everybody else, every other right-handed hitter or left-handed hitter. So you can have all these tendencies of pitchers, but like I said, pitching coaches are pretty good now. Pitchers are pretty smart. They're mixing more than they ever have. They're trying not to get into patterns. So what do you have to do? You have to create your own. I'm going to look for a fastball. I'm going to look for something up in the zone, and I'm going to stay on top of it. Or I'm going to sit on breaking balls and abort anything else. Even though that pitcher tendencies may not be that way, I have to have a plan and stick with a plan, because those tendencies are sometimes league-wide and not player-oriented. And that's where charts and all that stuff kind of messes with players' heads. And I think that's what the Mets have done this year, is they've made it simpler on players, and they're not diving as much. The analytics are there, but they're not bombarding their players with it.
Now, mechanically,
some players do like it, but the players that don't, you can't force feed it.